Hey guys, Corby Phillips here in the garage. Today I have something a little bit different for you. We're actually going to be looking at the VR series, the Zeon series, and the Zeon Platinum by Warren. We're going to talk about them and what makes them different. And with Warren, we actually have Corby Phillips. How you doing, Corby?
Hey, Stephen. Nice to see you today.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming out today. So let's get started with the VR. Tell us a little bit more about that and what makes it stand out against the others.
Yeah, so we talked about the VR a few days ago in one of your other installments here, and actually put one on a Jeep, but kind of wanted to get out here and show you a step through of each winch series. And what Warren's trying to do is, if you open our catalog up, you see a number of winches, you're like, which one do I need? So we want to develop a good, better, best strategy. And that's what we have here today for your standard vehicle recovery winches, starting with the VR. They look a lot alike, they look similar. There's some carryover from the Zeon to the VR. We did have an older VR that wasn't quite as attractive, but this new one is looking really good and selling really well out there in the marketplace. What we did is we carried over the center mount control pack, which is also convertible. You can move this on top of the bumper or underneath the hood. It does come off this tie plate. The tie plate does have badging, and this tie plate actually gives rigidity to the winch body so it doesn't move around so much, and is a much more solid winch body. You'll notice here that we have a nice remote cover along with the standard remote that comes with the VR. We did improve some badging here, both on the free spool lever and the control box. And also, we talked about in the video before, the installation time being cut way down because the wire is already wired on there. The steel or synthetic cable is already on the drum. It's out of the box, it's on the vehicle, done, gone. Now moving on to the Zeon, you step up a little bit in quality, a little bit in looks, a little bit in performance. So you're going to look at, first of all, an all aluminum body, including the control pack cover. This all aluminum construction allows for the winch to dissipate heat in heavy loads and long uses. So we talked about in our first video, the VR, pulling out 1, 2, 3 guys, probably be fine. Getting to that 5 to 10 vehicles you're pulling out on a trail run, a heavy trail run, you're probably going to want to step to the Zeon because of the efficiency in the drivetrain and also in the motor. It's got more copper, and also this direct bus bar connection from the contactor down to the motor saves you 20% in amp draw. Okay. So in theory, when we talk about installation time, the only change we're going to have versus VR to Zeon, you're already pre-wired. But on the synthetic versions, you're going to have to add your synthetic rope. Just does not come pre-wound. It is pre-wound on the VR though. Looking further into the Zeon features versus the VR, you'll notice that the remote is a little bit upgraded, a little more ergonomic, better feeling remote. You still have the nice cover, weather-tight cover to seal it. You still have the all-bright contactor, which is IP68 sealed. But another feature is the drum seals and all the seals on this winch make the entire winch IP68 sealed, which is 3 foot underwater for 30 minutes where there's any water intrusion. Another important note is the aluminum drum, how it's constructed. If you see here, it doesn't have a set screw and thimble holding the cable like the VR does or some other standard winches do. It has a puck system where you put the cable through, drop a puck in there, and you can't pull it out. We would still recommend having 5 to 6 wraps in that bottom layer, but in case you're in the trail, can't see your winch, and you pull too much cable, you won't run the risk of popping that cable out of that thimble, so you won't have a problem with a breakdown in the field. Other features we talked about, the aluminum body pulling heat away from the motor. The tie plate is here also on the Zeon. One other thing is the rotating ring gear versus the sliding ring gear. Much easier to engage for the consumer, a lot smoother engagement, and also we have a different construction in the gear train as well as far as how they're put together.
All right, Corby, so fill us in on the Zeon Platinum here.
Yeah, so we've been through the VR, we've been through the Zeon, and now we're at the Zeon Platinum, which is our ultimate performance line. It's the Zeon steroids. And what makes this winch so cool and so ultimate performance is a lot of the features and benefits it has above the Zeon. So starting with the internals, it's still in the Zeon body, but it's got a larger motor. When I say larger, it's got about 20% more copper. If you put them side by side and look at them, about 1 inch taller. So it's a more powerful, more efficient motor, faster motor. Then over here on the gear train side, to keep up with that motor and also this automatic clutch you're going to see here, we had to go ahead and do 4140 and 4130 chrome moly gear train on the second and third stage of the gear train of the winch to make it stand up to the more powerful motor. You're going to get some increased badging to let folks know you bought the big bad Warren Platinum. You're going to get a little bit different decals, and also the head unit as far as the cover of the contactor. It does look a little bit different just to differentiate itself from the Zeon family and not just be a regular Zeon. You'll notice right away if you look at the winch, on this side there is no free spool lever. So it's all right here in this nice LCD remote. We light it up, you got a nice Warren Go Prepared logo here. Makes you feel good about the purchase. And then we go to the winching screen, and you'll notice we've got bars coming up like a cell phone. We've got battery indicators for the remote battery. So now we're talking to each other because we've got the indicators showing that we're talking to the winch. We're going to hit the winching screen. There is a safety built in here to make sure you don't just hit the winching screen and bump the winch and cause any issues. So what you want to do, just like it says on the screen, hold down for 3 seconds. And now you're in winching mode. If y'all can see that, you've got a gear train on this side. For the gears, show them they're engaged. You've got a battery here for the battery of the vehicle. The last thing you want to do is run your battery down during the recovery and not be able to drive home and start it. We always recommend winching with the truck running anyways. Then also down here you have a temperature gauge. The temperature gauge shows you the actual temperature of the winch, so it's kind of a thermometric indicator to make sure you're not overheating the winch during a pull. So what we're going to do here is we're going to hit free spool. As soon as I hit that button, you heard a click, and now the rope is able to be pulled out. Comes right out. When I'm ready to start winching, I've hooked up to the tree or whatever I've got up there to hook to, another vehicle. I've walked through that 75 yards of 3-foot mud of swamp. I'm ready to go. I can just hit the button and we're winching. Simple as that. Once you're hooked up, you're ready to go. Another feature of the Zeon Platinum versus the Zeon is the actual brain box in there allows us to have switches integrated into the winch itself. So there in the back of this winch, there are two 12-volt ports that do 200 amps or 16 watts apiece. You can run LEDs, you can run rock lights. We've already even hooked up blenders to show off how it works at the SEMA show. So it's very nice to have 12-volt power you can plug into on the front of the rig. I'm going to jump over to the home screen and then to the lighting screen just to give an illustration. I personally don't have my rock lights hooked up yet. A Jeep is never finished. This one's not finished either. So I'm going to hit the button and you'll notice right away it lights up and says there's a short there because there's nothing on those, no load on those switches. So they are active. If I were to put load on there or some lights or some wiring, that would disappear and would light up the object that you're trying to, or the product you're trying to light up. So again, a nice option to keep the customer from drilling their firewall to run switches inside. You can run it all right here from the remote.
All right, guys, so that really is a wrap. The installation was as easy as I said it was. It took us about 30 minutes to do. And really, I'm going to give this about a 3 out of 10 wrenches as far as the difficulty goes. If you went with a more low-profile application, it may be a little bit different for you. But in our case, we had a bumper that was already ready to go for a winch. So 3 out of 10 is what I'm going to give this install. Now, Corby, where can our viewers find more information about this winch or more about Warn itself?
Stephen, it's always a good idea to check out warn.com. We have a great team over there putting out fresh content all the time. We really utilize the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can check out some really cool pics and some really information out there. We also go to a lot of local shows. We go to the Overland rallies, we go to Jeep Beach, Moab. We're out there actually using the product. If you see somebody wearing a Warn shirt that is out there in the trail, don't hesitate to pull them aside and ask them some questions about winching. But also the warn.com site is a great source for information for any recovery gear or bumpers or anything we make.
Good deal. Well, thanks again for coming out today, Corby. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Now, guys at home, like Corby said, check out warn.com if you want any more details about them or their winches. Now, if you want any more details about this specific VR10, check the description below of the part number there listed for you, as well as a dealer locator, so you can find the VR10 at a Performance Corner dealer near you. Thanks again for tuning in. This has been Performance Corner in the Garage.